We are working upper body today. I don't think I said that. I feel like I warned some of you about these. Those of you in the membership, you get the email saying what's coming up. So today is all about opening the shoulders and the back. And we're going to start. Well, I'm going to give you two options. So if you have a ball, this is the bigger of the tune up. You might have, it's like a softball size. You probably have one a little smaller. You can start on your back, rolling the top of the shoulder. It's called the spine of the shoulder, where the top of the shoulder and the shoulder blade, the top of the shoulder blade, there's like a little gully. So you can lay on your back, start with one side, and you can move yourself around, move the arm around. You could put a block under the pelvis so you create more of an angle and more downward pressure on the ball. Or you can actively use the legs like a bridge pose to kind of lift and move around. So that's one option, is to roll a little bit, warm up the muscles we're going to be focusing on, or some kind of supported back bend. So you could grab a blanket and roll up a blanket, put it under the shoulder blades. You could use your blocks. So one is behind the shoulder blades, one's behind the head. So you're in a passive back bend or chest opener. And that could look so many different ways. So favorite back bend of choice, or rolling the top of the shoulder. And we're going to take 4 minutes. So I'll let you know you'll have 2 minutes on each side of the shoulder. Or if you want to work your way across, that's fine. So get yourself situated. And landing in the way that feels the most approachable, agreeable, maybe kind in this moment. For those of you that are rolling, remember to take deep breaths, or the beauty of being at home is you can make grunts and groans and no one else can hear you, sighing audibly. So not holding on to stress or creating any secondary stress from the rolling. That also means take breaks when you need them. And those of you resting in a back bend, just starting to tune into the rhythm of your breathing. And you might start to lengthen it or slow it down a bit, just to slow any kind of mental churning, even just the feeling of rushing to get here, to fit one more thing in. Or right around that halfway marker. So those of you that are rolling, start to think about switching. If you're in the back bend, you want to make any adjustments or change the shape altogether, now's a good time. Just a few breaths. If you need or want more time, whatever you're doing, always feel that permission to take it. But when you come to a good stopping point, finding a neutral position, so sliding the ball out or whatever you're back bending over, moving that out of the way. And you might come back onto your back reclining, or you might come up to a seat somewhere in a neutral spine that you can feel the residue. And take a few breaths, opening to the space that's here. Making room for a deeper swell of breath, just allowing the breath to expand around the rib cage. And as you exhale, it might be that audible sigh sound, moment of release. Right, and then you'll make your way up, those of you that are lying down, and you can come to a seat or kneeling. You'll want your strap. I'm going to be pretty open-ended with this. Just want you to take a moment to open up the chest and the shoulders with any kind of flossing. I call them flossing movements. So that very typical taking the strap behind you to open the chest. You could do a little side bending, do some twisting or big circles with the rib cage and the arms. Or maybe you keep the rib cage stationary and you just move the arms around in big circles. So using your imagination or anything you know in particular that feels good, that you enjoy, just to start to get some warmth and movement around the shoulder, into the chest. Feel those sticky spots. Oh man, lots of sticky spots. Really like to think about the opening shapes, opening movements, like taking your temperature. So you're just dipping your toe in the water to get a sense of, is this too hot, too cold, just right? What does my body need in this moment? What does your nervous system need in this moment? And then can you take care of the you that's here, not the you that maybe you wanted to show up? Mm. I started therapy since having Hazel. It's been the best thing ever. But the thing that we talked about this week was how to be more generous with myself. And I just think we could probably all stand to be a little more generous with ourselves. So, in this moment, what would be the generous gesture? Okay, last few breaths. And then you kind of decide, just like you did with the rolling. If you need more of it, you take more of it. When you're done with the strap work, you'll set that strap down, come to hands and knees position. And just a little bit more of this very open-ended invitation of movement. So cat cow, hip circles, roll the head around, get into the sides of the neck. Not limiting yourself in movement. It doesn't have to be the traditional classical moves. Just unfolding, opening, allowing yourself the generous gesture of movement. Movement that feels good in this particular moment. Take a few more moves, a few more breaths, and then settling into a child's pose. Just dropping into another moment of stillness before we move on together. And then once you arrive here, I'm envisioning the circumference all the way around the rib cage.
And imagine you had loving hands resting on the back of the lungs. And could you expand the breath so much that those hands kind of lift and spread up and out? And as you exhale, there's that soft settling back inwards towards the spine, towards the heart. Inhaling up and out into those hands, filling the sides, the back, not just the front. Final moment here, if you like to acknowledge an intention for your practice or whatever brought you here this moment. Maybe that's shifted as you've started to land and move. Meeting me in tabletop as you're ready. I'm going to turn to face you. You might turn to face the long edge of your mat. I just want you to be able to see the full expression of the shape here. So we're going to take the right leg out to the side. Again, depending on your space, you may just stay where you are, or you might flip around and join me. And I'm mirroring you. So right leg is out to the side. And then you're going to take your right arm up towards the ceiling and twist open. And then we're going to thread that right arm under the left. And you might just go a little bit of the way, or you might deeply bend that left elbow and really scoop underneath. And then you'll open back up into the twist. So you're going to move in and out at whatever rhythm you want to move. And then next time you open up, stay open. You're going to rotate that right arm, the top one, and thread it behind the back. So it internally rotates. You're in a half bind. And then the only thing you're going to move here is now the head and the neck. So getting a little bit of relief or just a little exploration. You know, I might also move the jaw around. See what's living or who's living in your neck. And then looking down at the floor, you'll keep the legs as they are, but bring both hands back down under the shoulders. And then just a little bit of hip love. So you're going to slide your hips back towards your heels. And as you do so, you're going to rotate that right leg up. So the toes turn up, the knee turns up. Get that inner thigh groin stretch. And then you'll slide back forward, putting the inner edge of the foot back to the floor. So hip flexion as you slide back. And then coming forward, back to that starting point. I've got my left toes curled under. I like the extra stretch for the sole of that foot. You might do the same thing, or the top of the foot on the ground might feel better for the knee. Gliding forward and back. Good. Give yourself one more or two more if you're moving a little more quickly. And then both knees back under your hips. You'll stretch that left leg out to the side. And then take your twisting flow as you're ready. So opening up and then threading the arm underneath. And when you open up, really push that right hand, the one that's on the floor, down into the ground. And think about reaching up. So not sinking towards the floor at all, rebounding away from it. And the next time you open up, rotate that top arm, thread it behind the back, and then move the head and the neck around. Maybe the jaw too. And gaze down at the floor. Bring that left hand down to meet the right, and then into your hip glides. So as you sit the butt back, you turn that left leg up towards the ceiling, and then gliding forward, kneecap points towards the hands. Maybe curling those right toes under, get a little stretch for the sole of that foot. And then allowing yourself as many as you need to feel even between the hips. And when you're done, you'll bring that left knee back in and back to downward facing dog. First down dog of the morning. Well, for us together. Maybe you've already done your down dog today. And let that dog have another watery quality, like our opening shapes. Well, like everything, you just kind of move and breathe in the way that makes sense to you. Getting those calves and hamstrings involved. And then you'll walk your hands back to your feet. Take a few breaths out of a forward fold at the back of the mat. Any arm variation, or if you'd like to sway, rocking side to side. Another great place to shake out the head and just let the brain drain. As long as it's okay for your spine to move through spinal flexion, a little articulation, you're going to roll up and down a few times, imagining slow motion, like you could stack the bones of the spine one on top of the other. If for any reason spinal flexion is contraindicated or just not the best feeling for you, you'll go through a few half sun salutes with a flat back. So if you're okay, when you get to the top, you'll tuck the chin, those heavy arms and shoulders, and start to round your way back down. If it's uncomfortable or just something you know that you're trying to avoid, then coming up with that long spine and down with the long spine. If you're rolling, you can think about anchoring the tailbone down between the heels. Noticing again those sticky spots or areas that maybe just feel a little blank or they kind of move in clumps. Doesn't feel so clean and clear. And one more round. And then you'll pause in that forward fold, pause at the bottom. Walking it back out to your down dog, but no rushing. You all know that. Take your time. Don't feel compelled to move faster just because I might be cueing a little faster than you're ready. Take a moment in your dog pose to really push the hands into the ground and feel the tops of the thighs move back in the opposite direction of the hands. So you give your spine some length, some traction. Good. All right, we're gonna come into a lunge. So you could do this from dog pose. You could bring your knees down, step the right foot forward, left knee to the ground, and then lift your chest up, your torso up. Okay, we're gonna start with a side bend. So right hand can stay on the thigh, or you could always bring the right hand to a block outside that right hip. Left arm's gonna go up towards the ceiling, and you're gonna lean over to the right.
I like to push my left shin down into the ground and turn the front of my hips up just a little bit. Or you could think about dropping your tail down a little bit. So get into the psoas, that deep spinal stabilizer, hip flexor. Good. Lift yourself out of the bend, arms wide, and then left arm under the right for eagle arm variation. You can grab shoulders, backs of the hands, or maybe the palms together. And then squeeze the arms together. Lift the elbows. And those of you that are bound, you might try to move the hands a little bit away from the face. Those shoulder blades wrapping wide back across the ribs. Good. Release the arms. One more thing here. That left arm is going to thread behind the back, that internal rotation. You don't have to go far. You might just rest the back of the hand right in the middle of the low back. And then drop your chin and take your right ear towards your right shoulder. And release the head first. Hands to the mat. And then switch sides best way for you. You can go back through down dog and slide that right knee back, left foot forward. You could step forward, step back, and then come into your lunge on the second side. Good. Right arm is going to go up. We're going to lean to the left. Left hand can stay on the thigh or it can come down to a block. We push that right shin down as an anchor. Think about bumping your hips a little bit to the right. So you lean to the left and really open up that right waist. Those big lat muscles, muscles between the rib cage, your intercostals. Torso back to center, arms wide, right arm under the left for eagle arms. Good. Squeeze the arms, float those elbows up. Maybe move the hands, the forearms away from the face. And Shavasana in the face. Soften your features. Release the arms. That right arm's going to thread behind the back. Drop the chin. Take your left ear towards the left shoulder. Good. Undo it. Meeting in down dog. And then from down dog, you're going to come forward to plank. We're going to lower all the way down so you can use the support of the knees or keep them lifted. And lower to the floor. And then prop yourself up onto your elbows, your forearms for Sphinx pose. I can't come very high still. I'm not doing many back bends, but you can walk those elbows back under the shoulders, really push the arms down and lift the chest. And then have that quality like you want to pull yourself forward on the mat, like you're dragging yourself along the floor. Or I like to think, could I lift my chest higher than my shoulders? Get light press of the feet down. Firm the thighs. You might feel the kneecaps lift. Good. And then lower down, arms back by your sides this time. You're going to lift the shoulders first, then the head and the chest, and then float the arms. And if you want to float the legs, lifting them off the floor. And imagine I could reach through the screen. That's a creepy idea. Imagine I could reach the screen and I'm trying to push your hands to the ground and you're resisting me. So you're pushing up against me. Yeah. Good. And then lower the legs, bring the hands by the rib cage, last back bend, your cobra variation. You could hover the hands and really work the upper back. You could push the hands down and try to lift higher. You see the kitties going across the screen. Good. And then releasing and making your way back to downward facing dog. However you want it, take as much time as you need. There might be some movement in there.
Right foot forward, back into your lunge. This time, left knee off the ground if you feel stable enough to come into your high lunge. We're going to do the same arm movements as we did in that last lunge sequence. So left arm's going to go up. You're going to lean over to the right. And you can't push that left shin into the ground. Well, those of you with the knee off the ground, but think about turning the front of the pelvis up just slightly. The hips feeling like they want to bump a little bit to the left as you lean to the right. Good. Back to center. Arms wide. Left arm will be on the bottom, eagle arms. Squeeze the arms together. Lift the elbows, hands away from the face. Let the bind go. Right arms behind the back. Drop your chin. Take your right ear, right shoulder. No, left ear, left shoulder. Rights and lefts still don't quite make sense. Good. Let it go. Hands down. Down dog. Or however you want to get that left foot forward, right foot back. Come up into that high lunge. Once you get there, right arm comes up, you lean to the left. And firm that back thigh. So get that leg as straight as you can, straight and strong. Think about pushing that heel back and down. Left shin goes forward. Hips bump a little bit to the right as you lean to the left. Good. Back to center. Arms open wide. And then find your bind. Right arm is on the bottom. Squeeze the arms, lift the elbows, hands away from the face. And undo it. Left arm behind the back, chin to chest, right ear towards right shoulder. Good. Let it go. Make your way into dog pose. Shift forward to plank. Lower to the floor. Supported or not. Come into your Sphinx pose, so you're pushing up onto the forearms. You might join me if you're not doing big back bends with the elbows further forward from the shoulders. And then push the palms down, push the forearms down, lift the chest, lift the head. Draw those shoulders back. Feel like your chest could go higher than the shoulders. Good. Light press of the feet down. And then lower down, slide the arms back by your sides. Lift the shoulders first. Head and chest next. Float the arms, float the legs. Have that imaginary feeling of resistance. So someone's trying to push your arms down and you're pressing up. Up, 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 up. And lower the legs, feet down. Into your cobra. Palms could be on the ground or you can keep them hovering. Really work the shoulders. Whatever version you're in, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Feel like you're pushing the hands down and pulling back. Good. And then release. Downward facing dog. Right, looking at the top of the mat, take your time to walk or step feet up towards the hands. Another opportunity to bend in the way that you want. Sway, bind the arms, take a neck release. And then we're going to get into just a little steady flow to link our breath and movement, warm the body up for a few standing poses. From the forward bend, just let those arms hang. You'll inhale halfway up. You might grab your blocks or lightly rest the hands on the shins. And then exhale back into the fold. Good. You'll do that again. You'll inhale halfway up, shoulders back. And then without pulling yourself, exhale, just draping back into the fold. Good. One more time. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Don't have to be with me. Find your rhythm. Inhale, just standing. You could roll up or you can come up with that long spine. Exhale, settling the hands right through the center. A few half sun salutes. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Light hands. Exhale, fold. Drape the spine, drop the head. Inhale to standing, rolling or coming up with that long spine. Exhale, bring it all back to center. Good. Just like that again. Your inhale, reaching up. Your exhale to fold. Inhale to lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale to fold. Inhale to stand. Exhale to center. We're going to go through a lunging salutation. Inhale the breath, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, left foot back. Your choice if knee is up or down. So come into your lunge. Lift the chest, lift the arms. Good. Downward facing dog. Hands to the ground, step back. You're welcome to stay in dog pose or inhale to plank. And your vinyasa of choice. So you can go back through what we've done. You can take a more classical vinyasa. You could come to hands and knees and do a little cat-cow. So just linking breath and movement. Maybe adding in a back bend of your choice to open up the back, open up the chest. Eventually arriving in your downward facing dog. And breathing in, breathing out. Left foot forward for the lunge. Lifting torso, lifting spine, maybe lifting the arms, maybe lifting the gaze. And hands down, step forward and bow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand. Exhale, hands to center. Same thing, second side. Inhale the breath, let the arms rise. Exhale with the breath, folding forward. Use the full exhale to bow. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, right foot back for the lunge. Use the inhale to lift. And use the exhale to get out of there. Hands down, down dog. And again, choosing. You can pause in your dog. You can come forward and flow. You could take the moment to rest. Remember to be generous with yourself in your movement, generous with yourself in your time. And we'll meet together in that down dog shape. Pausing. Filling around the rib cage with breath, front, back, sides. And right foot will step up for the lunge. You lift the torso, lift the arms. And then hands back down, step forward and fold. Inhale halfway. We're going to add a twist here. I'm going to turn to face you. So you're going to lift halfway. If hands don't come comfortably to the ground, hopefully you have your blocks up at the top so you could have hands on blocks. We're going to bend the right knee and twist to the left. So that left arm goes up. The right knee bends, left arm's up. And then whatever that right hand is on, instead of sinking down into it, push off. So fingertips push down, palm pushes down. And imagine you could get a bigger wingspan across the back. So the shoulder blades are sliding away from one another. Good. Top of that left thigh moves back. You open up the side waist. Release that side. You're back in that halfway lift, both hands down. And then you'll switch. You bend the left knee, right arm lifts up. But push that left hand down, left fingertips down as you turn. You even feel like the left shoulder blades moving into the back to help you turn and reach. A big wingspan, wide across the chest, wide across the back. Feel the top of that right thigh move back to open up that left or right side waist. And release. Fold back over those legs, drape the spine. Come all the way up to standing, rolling up, long spine. And release the arms. All right, we're gonna do a few standing poses. So you might turn with me and face the long edge of your mat, or whatever makes sense in your space. But take a nice wide stance with the legs. And I'm gonna mirror you. We're gonna do warrior two to start, warrior two legs. So you'll turn the right toes out, left toes in a little bit, and then go ahead and bend the knee. So just come down into your warrior two, comfortable legs. But keep the arms hanging for a moment. You might shake them out. Just give them a little blah. Okay. Either eyes closed, if you're comfortable doing that, you don't feel like you're gonna fall over, or just soft gaze. But imagine your arms were made of helium and let them float up and out into their warrior two shape. And then reach out through the fingers. And keep the arms spread wide. Now push the palms down into imaginary countertops. You feel the underside of the arms engage. You feel the spine lengthen a little bit, but those shoulders start to descend. So palms are pushing down. Underside of the arms are activating to lift and keep those arms up. All right, left arm is going to come behind the back, just like you've done before, that internal rotation. And you'll come into a side angle pose. So you can bring right forearm on thigh, you can grab a block, hand can come to the ground. But work the rotation of the chest. So don't worry so much about how far you're coming down into that side angle. Think more about turning that left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Good. And then you might explore what feels better for the head and the neck. I often look down or straight to the side. You can turn the head up and keep that twist going, as long as it's not forceful for the neck. Good. Okay, keep the bind. Keep that arm behind you. Straighten your right leg into triangle pose. So pelvis is going to go back a little bit to the left. Hand can be on block. I like to put the back of my hand to that inside of the shin to work my core a little bit. Keep that feeling of left shoulder blade opening up, left side of the chest opening up. Good. Lovely. Those are beautiful. Okay, to come out, keep the bind. Start to bend that right knee back to your warrior two legs. Lifting up through a bound warrior two, and then reversing. So now you can release that left arm. Right arm goes up and back. Good. And then all of it, just let go, arms down, pivot those toes forward and switch sides. So warrior two, legs on the left. Find the shape of the lower body, shake out the arms. If it was helpful or just interesting, and close the eyes or soft gaze. Imagine the arms are made of helium. Let them float up. And then a little life out through the fingers. Push those palms down into imaginary countertops. I instantly feel taller when I do that. My spine lifts up, feel the underside of my arms. Good. Right, this time right arm comes behind the back.
And then into your side angle with that half bind. Forearm on thigh, hand to block or ground. Little turn of the chest. Feel the right side now start to open up. And then if you want to move the head and the neck around, finding that place that it wants to settle for a few moments. Whatever that left hand or forearm is on, lift out of it. Yeah, felt my core do that. Zip. And straighten the left leg. Triangle pose with that half bind. And then focusing on the rotation of the ribs, rotation of the spine. Ribs aren't rotating. They're moving around the spine. The spine is twisting. Again, whatever that left hand is on, push down into it, lift up. Pull the shoulders back. Good. And then to come out, start to bend that knee like your warrior two, and then into your reverse warrior. So you'll release that back arm, let your left arm reach back, open the opposite side of the body. Good. Release the arm. Pivot both toes forward to face that long edge. We're going to come down into a fold and do a shoulder opener here. So if the ground is far away this morning, hamstrings are feeling tight, tender, grab a block or blocks to put them under the hand. Okay, again, I'm going to mirror you. So we're going to reach the right arm forward. So if it's on a block, take the block with you. Left arm is going to reach underneath and grab somewhere on that right leg. The left arm's underneath. It could hold the ankle. I've got the outer shin, outer calf. And you're going to bend your left knee, bend the left elbow. So really pull back on that right leg and then twist the chest to look underneath the arm. Good. Head doesn't have to be involved in that twist. It can stay hanging, shake it. But really pulling back with that left hand, elbow is bent deeply, left knee is bending. It's like the body weight's trying to pull you to the left, but the chest is resisting and turning to the right. Push that right hand down, like the right arm wants to do down dog. And undo it. Switch the arms. So left arm goes forward. Right arm slides underneath, grab somewhere on that leg. You bend the right knee, you bend the right elbow. So pull back on that left leg, like someone's pulling you to the right. And then the chest is going its own way. It's saying, no way, Jose, I'm going to the left. Chest is twisting. Good. Let go. Last few breaths here in your forward fold of choice. You could take both hands, arms forward and wide. Walk the hands back between the feet. Or if you want to do more of an active inversion, you want to go to the wall and do a forearm balance or handstand, a couple hops. Keeping the head below the heart for a few more breaths. Make your way out. And a few moments in a halfway lift, or if you've been actively inverting a forward bend or child's pose. And then that's where we're all going to meet child's pose. So if you want to take a flow to get back to the ground, you'll bring your feet together, come to the front of the mat, right? You might come through a squat and just pivot, bring your knees down. So not thinking too hard about that transition, but finding your way to a child's pose. And then remembering or recreating that feeling of the breath all the way around. Filling the front, back, sides of the lungs.
Not with force, but just seeing if you can lengthen the breath out a little bigger in its movement. At least that quality of feeling like the back is moving up and out. Taking a moment to catch up with yourself or just settle yourself back into yourself. Like like honey, finding your way to a comfortable seat. Could be on the floor, on a block, or in a chair. Do a few more shoulder neck stretches. Any comfortable seat for you. Just letting things get quiet, moving back towards that still point. Right, I'm going to mirror you. I'm going to do my best. We're going to side bend to the right. So right hand down, left arm up and over. And whatever you're seated on, really drop that left hip down as you lean to the right. And back up through center. And then we're going to twist to the left. So you can use the hands on the legs, or if you're using a chair, use the seat or the back of the chair to help you turn. And then you'll stay in the twist. Left arm's going to go up towards the ceiling, and you'll add a side stretch. So you lean a little bit to the right. And then you're going to bring that lifted arm, that left one, down, crossing it over the right. You might grab the thighs or the knees and round your back, tuck your chin. And you'll keep the cross of the arms, but lift the spine and come up into your eagle arm variation. And if you want to glide the arms up and down, and just feel that lift of the elbows, the squeeze of the arms, the hands moving away from the face. And release the arms. Left arm will thread behind the back. You'll drop your chin, right ear towards your right shoulder. Release the stretch. You shake out the arms, or if you want to change your seat before we do the second side, especially if you're sitting with the legs crossed, you might put the opposite shin in front. And then side bending to the left. Right arm up and over. Anchor that right hip as you lean. Ground that right hip down. And drawing through center and then twisting to your right. Easy with the hands. Not yanking or twisting yourself deeply. Lift out of the low back and then turn. And you'll stay in the twist. Right arm will go up. You'll add that little lean on the diagonal. And then eventually you'll start to round the chest forward, crossing that right arm over the left. Filling into the back, tucking your chin. And lifting the spine up into your eagle arm embrace. And then release the arms. Right arm will slide behind the back. You'll tuck your chin first and then take left ear towards left shoulder.
Let it all go. Come out of your seat, make your way onto your back, feet to the ground. Maybe feet a little wider than your hips, and windshield wiper those legs. Let the legs sway side to side. You like to linger on one side, pause a few extra breaths. Knees back to center, figure four. Doesn't matter which side you start with. Crossing an ankle over the thigh, and thread the arms through. I like to put that left foot on a wall or a piece of furniture if you're close to something you can rest it on. Then the arms don't have to do any work. Which sides? Feet to the ground. Either soles of the feet together, knees open, or the opposite. Feet a little wider, knees knock in. And then rest the hands, rest the arms in a comfortable manner for you. And feel the full weight of the spine settle down into the floor. Just releasing all that effort. Giving yourself a moment, just nothing to do but notice. Just pause. And if you have the time in your day and your schedule to stay longer, you might slide into a traditional shavasana. If you have just the hour container, then start to move a little bit, find your way up to a seat. Choosing a gesture you want to close with, hand at the heart or hand to the heart and belly, palms in prayer. Ending with a little bit of generosity toward yourself, just extending a little thanks, a little kindness for being here. And if that ripples out to anyone or anything else in your life, just expressing a moment of thanks. And closing with a slow breath in, generous breath out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.